I was asked to speak about, what I thought I was asked to speak about was about how the school really hasn't changed, how the spirit of the school hasn't changed. And as I listened tonight to members of the classes in the 1960s and the 1970s, somehow the 1980s was skipped, and we had the 1990s and the 2000s. Anisha's class of 17, Miriam is class of 2021. That's like science fiction. And I realized I don't think I need to tell anybody anything about how the spirit of the school hasn't changed, about how we're all kindred spirits. I think of someone in a conversation, if somebody says, "Oh, that guy, he's a real Springer." I can't think of a higher compliment. And that's what I felt about every person who came today to share their story. So we'll start with slide 1. My name is Tom Gibian. I'm the school's chief storyteller. My qualifications are limited. I grew up on Dr. Bird Road. My family had an account with Sarah at the Sandy Springs store. We weren't allowed in the Red Door Country Store unless it was an emergency. And I've been eldered on the porch of the meeting house. The Sandy Springs Friend School story begins with an individual, a supportive spouse, random friends, and members of the Sandy Spring meeting. Brooke Moore had a vision that Sandy Spring should have a new Quaker school. He mulled it over, and he brought the idea to the Sandy Spring meeting. The meeting listened and concluded it wasn't practical, it wasn't fundable, and it wasn't doable. It was a ridiculous idea. Audacious, daunting, risky, romantic, and brilliant. In other words, the idea took hold. Scott House was built, Moore Hall was built, and teachers were hired. Esther Scott, Brooke's neighbor, was the only child of a Sandy Spring family that had farmed this land for several hundred years. The Scotts and the Moores had shared many connections to each other, in addition to farming across the street from one another. Esther gave the first 17 acres to the school and over time proceeded to give the balance of her farm, 144 acres, to support a shared vision. We again farm so that we can eat what we grow. We are a friend school, and that means something. We can be the school we most want for our children. We are not teaching to the test, and we don't have to do dumb things. We do the sports we want, including the Morley games. We challenge kids to reach past where they thought they could do or go, and we get them out of their comfort zone. They amaze themselves, and each year we send some kids off to play sports in colleges and universities at a very high level. We are a friend school, and that means something. We're here to create opportunities for transformation, for kids to find, develop, and share their great natural talent, so that each child will get excited, learn, love to learn, and never stop. We have not come upon this recently. This is not a result of the review of current educational literature. It is in our DNA. We are continuing the legacy by making, weaving, drawing, painting, spinning beautiful things, and through operettas, community plays, recitals, and concerts. Today we have smartphones, smart boards, iPads, and ebooks, where in the past we used typewriters, whiteout, encyclopedias, mimeograph machines, and the Dewey Decimal System. And now, like then, teachers teach by provoking, and now, like then, they teach by creating spaces where each voice is heard, the loud ones and the soft ones, with equal measure. Depending on when you were last here, it may be true that we have more buildings, more students, more solar panels, more devices, more teachers. We even have more school bureaucrats like me, and more climbing walls. We also have approximately the same amount of purple and green hair, rock bands, meetings for worship, lacrosse games, and invitations for Bob Hope to speak at graduation. Brooke's vision for this new school was that it not only provides a top academic experience, but that it should put the greatest emphasis on the development of the spiritual life of its students. The school should attempt to develop a well-balanced individual, inculcating the living philosophy of Quakerism. I'm quoting Mary Lill. He hoped that the school's staff would teach by example, letting their lives speak. Other original intentions were for the school to be integrated racially, intellectually, economically, and politically, and that all students are in sympathy with the belief and practices of Friends. We're a Friends school, and that means something. It means that we value learning and that we value unlearning. What do I mean by unlearning? Think about what the Quakers have unlearned. When everyone else said that the king was infallible, Quakers said, no, there's that of God in equal measure in each of us. When Darwin said species evolve and the world is older than 6,000 years, that too challenged the prevailing understanding of the world. Quakers said, let's challenge it some more. We are in the business of teaching skepticism while knowing we need to be skeptical about too much skepticism. Ours is an inquiry-based education which begins with questions, is seasoned with reflection, and leads to action. Question, reflection, action. This is why we farm, climb trees, sit in stillness, play hard, teach others to fear the beast, march, petition, protest, and support. We hope for enough foolishness to believe that you can really make a difference in the world, so that you are able, with God's grace, to do what others claim cannot be done. We prize beauty, openness, the scientific method, trying to figure out why it gets cold all of a sudden when you're swimming in a pond. We wrestle with complex issues of stewardship, sharing, and respect for all living things. I believe that we've stayed true to Brookmore's vision and that we do get a kick out of being here. And we do leave feeling happier and more loving for having been exposed to this sandy spring quality of spirit. Thank you.